This morning, you woke up and did something your ancestors could never have imagined. You reached for your phone. And just like that, before you were even fully awake, the weight of the day had already started pressing down on you. Maybe it was an email you still haven't dealt with. Maybe a message you left unread. Maybe you couldn't even name it. You just felt it, that low-level dread, before anything has even happened. Now take all of that away. No phone, no inbox, no notifications. Instead, you don't know if you'll eat today. You don't know if there's a predator in the grass 50 feet away. Your kid had a fever last night and you have nothing to give them. That was every single morning for your ancestors for 300,000 years. By all logic, they should have been more anxious than any of us. But the science says the exact opposite. Anthropologists have spent decades studying archaeological evidence and observing the few remaining hunter-gatherer communities that still exist today. And what they found surprised even the researchers themselves. Ancient humans almost never experienced what we'd call chronic mental burnout. No therapists, no meditation apps, no emotional regulation tools. And yet, their baseline psychological state was likely healthier than yours or mine right now. So what did they know that we don't? That's exactly what we're going to get into today, because to understand why we're so burned out, we first need to understand how the ancient human brain actually worked. Let's start with the most basic question. What actually is stress? Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky tackled this in his research and later laid it all out in his now famous book, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. He found that when it comes to life-threatening situations, zebras and humans respond very differently, and that difference tells you everything. A zebra spots a lion on the savannah. Cortisol spikes, heart rate shoots up, it runs, it gets away. And then it just stops, shakes it off, literally, and goes back to eating grass. 5 minutes ago, it thought it was going to die. Now it's grazing like nothing happened. That's not because zebras are brave or optimistic. It's because the threat is over. The brain receives the signal. Danger gone. Cortisol drops. Endorphins release. The nervous system resets. The loop closes. Ancient humans worked the same way. Archaeological records from the Paleolithic period show that the leading causes of death were physical injuries, infections, and animal attacks. Notice what those threats have in common. They're all concrete, visible, and they all have a clear endpoint. Outrun it, fight it off, find food, done. Every single day, the ancient human brain was cycling through the full loop. Threat detected, respond, resolve, release. Each time the loop closed, the nervous system got to reset. Yeah, that's the first reason they didn't burn out. Their stress had a way out. Now compare that to us. Your boss sends you an email. The tone feels a little off. Your brain immediately flags it. Threat detected. Cortisol spikes. Your chest tightens. Your whole body goes on alert. But you can't run. You can't fight back. You sit there and you type out, "Thanks for the feedback." And the loop never closes. It just keeps spinning, quietly, in the background, all day. That's what Sapolsky calls chronic stress. And he argues it does more damage to the human brain than facing an actual predator ever could. Because at least with a lion, you know when it's over. Okay, let's get into the second one. This might be the part that hits the hardest. In 1992, British anthropologist Robin Dunbar published radio-station research that changed how we think about human connection. By studying the size of the neocortex across primate species, he identified a pattern. The human brain can realistically maintain stable social relationships with about 150 people. And within that, your true inner circle, the people you genuinely trust, genuinely care about, and would actually show up for, that number is closer to 30 to 50. Here's the thing. That's almost exactly the average size of a Paleolithic hunter-gatherer band. That's not a coincidence. That's calibration. Evolution spent hundreds of thousands of years tuning the human brain to that exact social scale. In a group that size, everyone knows everyone. You know who's the best tracker. You know who can identify which berries are safe to eat. You know who will actually show up when things go wrong. Nobody is invisible. Nobody is expendable. And here's something that anthropologists find especially significant. Ancient humans spent a huge portion of every day doing something together, grooming each other. It's called social grooming. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. Sitting close, making physical contact, taking care of each other. Research out of Oxford found that this kind of physical bonding triggers a significant release of oxytocin in the brain. Oxytocin is sometimes called the bonding hormone. It directly suppresses cortisol and dials down the stress response in the amygdala. Dunbar actually argues that before human language became sophisticated enough to hold groups together, social grooming was the primary mechanism for building and maintaining trust. They were doing this for hours, every day, not because they had nothing better to do, because it was one of the most important things they could do. It was the tribe's glue. A completely free, always available, built-in antidepressant. Now think about today. You might have hundreds of contacts in your phone. You're connected on every platform. But when was the last time you had genuine, face-to-face, no-agenda physical contact with someone? Not a handshake, not a polite hug at the door, the kind where you actually felt like the other person was truly glad you exist. Ancient humans had that every single day. This third one is the finding I keep coming back to. Harvard evolutionary biologist Joseph Henrich has argued that the human brain's information processing system was calibrated for a very specific environment. The ancient human brain was designed to handle information from roughly a 3-mile radius. Anything beyond that, they didn't know about. And they didn't need to. That wasn't ignorance. That was a feature. The brain's built-in logic was essentially this. If you can't see it, it's not an immediate threat. No visible danger means you're safe. And safe means you can relax. Anthropologists who have studied the Hadza people of Tanzania, one of the last true hunter-gatherer groups alive today, found something striking. The Hadza show almost none of the chronic anxiety symptoms that are basically background noise for most people in the modern world. And it's not because their lives are easy. Drought, illness, food scarcity. The pressure is real. The difference is that they only deal with what's actually in front of them right now. They don't lie awake worrying about what might happen if the dry season comes early 3 months from now. That problem hasn't arrived yet, so it isn't today's problem. Now flip to us. Every time we open our phones, information from across the entire planet comes flooding in. An industry getting disrupted, a job category disappearing, a new AI model that changes everything, economic uncertainty, political instability. This stuff might be happening 10,000 miles away, but the human brain has no mechanism for sensing distance. It only knows one thing: threat signal detected. And it treats every single one of those signals as immediate, present, something you need to resolve right now. Ancient humans only had to process a 3-mile world. We're being asked to process the entire planet every single day. But the hardware hasn't changed. That's why we're exhausted. Real quick, before we get to the last part, flip your phone face down right now. Just sit with no notifications for the next 3 minutes. That's the baseline state ancient humans lived as every day. Okay, let's keep going. Last one. And honestly, this is the part I find most personally relevant. The brain has a system called the reward circuit, driven by dopamine. And that system was built for one thing: immediate feedback. Hungry? Go find food. Find it. Dopamine releases. Satisfaction. Done. For ancient humans, that loop completed within hours, every single day. The gap between effort and result was basically zero. Archaeologists studying Paleolithic tools found something interesting. The same hand axe design appears across different regions, separated by tens of thousands of years, and it barely changed. What does that tell us? Ancient humans weren't chasing innovation. They were chasing what worked. If this technique brought back food, keep using it. Feedback was immediate. Adjustments were immediate. There was no anxiety around, what if this stops working 3 years from now? because 3 years from now simply wasn't something the brain was tracking. Modern life works completely differently. Build a website, start a channel, learn a new skill, make an investment. The gap between effort and outcome can be enormous. We're talking months, sometimes years. You could work hard for 6 straight months and have nothing to show for it. But your brain doesn't understand that structure. By month 2, it's already sending you signals. This isn't working. Change course. You made the wrong call. You're wasting your time. That's not a willpower failure. That's the dopamine system going into alarm mode because it can't find the feedback loop it was built to expect. Burnout is often just the brain waiting for a payoff that the modern world isn't designed to deliver on that timeline. Ancient humans never had that problem, not because they were more patient, but because every single action they took had a result they could see that same day. All right, let's bring it all together. Ancient humans didn't burn out, not because they were tougher than us, or braver, or more resilient. It's because the structure of their lives was a natural match for how the brain actually works. Stress had an exit. You ran, you fought, the threat ended, and you recovered. Connection was real, physical, daily. In-person contact kept oxytocin flowing and cortisol in check. Information was local. The brain only processed what was visible and immediate. No overload. Effort had feedback. You acted, you saw results. The reward circuit completed its loop. Modern life has broken all 4 of those things, almost completely. But here's what I want to be clear about. The anxiety you're carrying right now is not a character flaw. It's not weakness. It's not something wrong with you. You're running a 300,000-year-old nervous system inside a world it was never built for. That system kept your ancestors alive through ice ages and predators and famines. It passed itself down through every generation until it landed in you. Every bit of anxiety you feel is that system still doing its job, still trying to protect you. So the next time you catch yourself burning out, try giving in to the ancient human for a minute. Put down the screen that's feeding you threats from 10,000 miles away. Go for a run. Give your stress loop the physical release it's been looking for. And when you get back, actually hold someone you care about. Because in that moment, you have something our ancestors built their entire world around. A real tribe. If this gave you a new way of thinking about something you deal with every day, hit the like button. It genuinely helps more people find this video. See you in the next one.